Welcome to the Homefront Podcast. I am your host, Toree McQueen. I'm a realtor, an entrepreneur, a mom of four, and a bold dreamer, always on a mission to turn nothing into something. Have you ever wondered how all these other entrepreneurs do it all? Can they actually have a successful and thriving business while also having a happy home life? Here, we dig into the real stories from entrepreneurs on how to run a biz and a home life, how to scale and grow, and how to manage parenting and relationships without sacrificing your home life or happiness. After all, isn't that what matters most? Let's get to it.
I think that moms can sometimes lose themselves in their children if they are not intentional about ensuring that they do those things that make them feel human. I recently posted a video about that on my Instagram, but I just feel so passionate about that your identity is not in being a mother. Your identity is not in being a businesswoman. My identity is in Jesus. And these are my roles. And those roles all need to be balanced and harmonious and work together so that I am the best mom and the best wife and the best businesswoman I can be. Because if I'm only being mom and I'm not being fed or filled, or even just having space, I am going to be a much more agitated, frustrated mom. And I speak for myself. So I just started writing and
Absolutely.
I mean, the rest is kind of history. I started to write
Absolutely.
and I was very fortunate. I had quite a few online magazines like Focus on the Family and Relevant and Faith It pick up my work, and they started sharing it. And so it grew pretty quickly. The first one that they picked up was about sexual promiscuity and purity before marriage. So it was a very vulnerable post, and my family and all my friends ended up reading it. Yes. But it was really freeing, and that kind of
People
catapulted
love
me
it.
into
Yeah.
the podcasting world where now I talk about sex and marriage and faith and relationships. I always tell people on the Living Easy podcast, that's my podcast, that if you listen, there's not one person who probably couldn't find a relevant topic because I'm multi-passionate and I love talking about everything. And thank you.
Yes, I love that about you also, because I feel like I think it's a new wave upcoming of the society allowing us to be multi-passionate. Not that we need somebody to allow us, but I feel like it's this new trend of like, okay, you don't necessarily have to completely niche down and that's all you serve and that's your lane and stay in your lane. I think they're allowing
I agree.
people
And
to
I
be more
support it and
themselves and
promote
be
it because I think
multi-passionate and follow that
while
direction
as
also.
a business coach and
So,
course creator coach, I think that it is for the sake of growth, niching down will help you. Yes. However, for the sake of just being a human being and enjoying your journey on social media, enjoying online business, enjoying just being a creator, influencer, whatever you are, that you need to show all of the sides of yourself. And that is your brand. Like that is what people will engage with. That's what they'll love. And then you can kind of niche all over the place. And that's for me kind of where I've been. And
yes.
I recently created about a year ago something called the Wife Project, From Roommates to Soulmates. And it was just a tremendous joy for me to create. I've always been passionate about marriage. My husband and I have been married for 10 years together, for best friends for 14. Thank you. And I've always just been
Oh,
somebody, when you
congrats.
ask, where does this all come from? I think the biggest thing is that I've always been someone who just likes to pick the brains of other people. And I'm sure you're very similar, Toree, and that's why you do podcasting. Yeah. It's so fun, and I've learned so much. Any married
Yep,
couple who's
very
been married
similar.
longer than me, mama who's been a mom longer than me, businesswoman, I will ask all the questions if they're willing to let me, because I want to learn and I want to grow. And I feel like so much of what I share within the Wife Project and why
Absolutely.
it kind of went worldwide and just did what it did was because I was able to utilize the information so many had blessed me with and instilled in my life that I could pour out. So, and then now I do online social media stuff because I've seen that growth. So again, I'm multi-passionate. My hands are in so many things, but I'm just happy. I love doing what I do.
That's good. Okay, so how did you get to where you're at now? So you're on the couch, you dealt with kind of postpartum, you felt the need
From
to
that point,
write,
I
your
just
story got
really
picked
pushed.
up.
So I
So where
worked
did it
from
go from
9 p.m.
there?
to 1 a.m. every night. I spent the days with my kids. I am very intentional. I will say now that my boys are older and in school, I have
Okay.
more time to myself during the day. Also, because of my courses now, I was able to bring my husband out of his career.
Yes.
So he is home and he's kind of stay at home daddy, which has been a very huge blessing for us. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
he was
gosh.
in an
I have questions on that
extremely
too. It's awesome. I love
difficult,
to hear it
stressful
all.
career that really stole his time away from his family for the first few years of their lives. And so now he's really cherishing it. And I was stay-at-home mama during that time. So we're kind of switching roles for a little, and it's been a blessing. But I will say I hustled. I am a learner. Like I said, I want to have answers. And so I spent 9 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Yes.
every single night, and sometimes during nap times, looking on Pinterest, researching answers, finding free resources to learn how to grow. I had my hands in Pinterest. I had my hands in Instagram, Facebook. Like I said, online magazines. I started the podcasting journey. I did a lot of collaborations with brands, and I just researched how to do that. I didn't take any courses. I didn't learn from anyone. I was really self-taught in the sense, not that I was self-taught because everyone taught me, but I guess I didn't at that time pay for resources. Now looking back, I really wish I would have. I wish I would have spent and invested in a few people to give me like the DL without spending literally thousands of hours learning. But it did prep me and get me to a place where now I can teach other people how to do things in much more of a condensed version than what I experienced. So yeah, I hustled a lot, and I am a very motivated, ambitious person. And so I spent a lot of time implementing what I learned. And I always tell my clients and my course
Mhm.
students, like, the difference between a successful and an unsuccessful entrepreneur is one thing, and it's taking action. And I think there are so many moments where I didn't want to take action, and I felt, and this is a whole subject on its own, but imposter syndrome and fear. I didn't feel like I could do it because, yes, you feel it.
Oh my gosh.
And I think
Yes.
everyone does. I really
Oh
do.
gosh, all the time, all the time. Um, well, and I think especially like for me, I am such an action taker,
Yeah.
and the thing about me, I'm pretty bold and I just do. And sometimes I do to where it's like, yeah, I will embarrass myself in front of people, or like I will do it and then everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, what's she doing?"
Mhm.
And of course you have the people who are watching
Mhm.
you,
Oh, yeah.
they're like, "Oh, what is she doing? Is she going to half-ass this, or what is she?" Sorry my language, but it's like you have to put yourself out there, and it's like you have to be willing to flop in front of people. And I think that's partly where imposter syndrome comes from also, is like, hey,
Mhm.
on this podcast, like you mentioned, I enjoy picking the brains of other people. Like that's my passion, is people's stories and where they come from and their backgrounds, and how it works for them is different than other
Yeah.
people. How they're raising their kids is different than other people, and everybody can do it their own way. So I love that. But then of course, like when you get me on a podcast, and some of these I do solo, right? But I just don't have as much passion for that because I feel imposter syndrome. Like, why
Mhm.
am I sitting here talking to,
Mhm.
like, I'm not the expert on everything, like, which is why it makes it
Yeah.
tough, right? But people do look to you for your opinions and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
it,
I think
I
the
mean, it
biggest
is
thing is
valuable. But yes,
I
imposter
truly
syndrome
believe
all the
that
way. I feel you.
God has given me a gift to share something. And I also believe that the enemy will like stifle that gift within you, and the obedience in it is where the blessing is. And it's the realization, like, if anybody is struggling with imposter
Mhm.
syndrome and feeling like you're not an expert, you can't do it, you're going to basically, you're a hypocrite and somebody's going to find you out that you can't do it all. The truth is, you are totally an imposter. Every single person is, because, like you said, Toree, not every single person knows everything, but your willingness to learn. Like, I've had so many people, I can't even tell you, with the wife project.
Uh-uh.
Like, I'll be honest, Lindsey, I saw you, I saw how young you are, I saw kind of, you've only been married 9, 10 years at the time. And I thought, what does this girl have to offer about marriage? And then I'll do a podcast episode with them, and I'll just share insight, or I will sit down and have a session with them,
Mhm.
or they'll watch the wife project and they're like, okay, I see it. And, it instills a fear in me when I hear those things. I'm like, you're right. What do I have to offer? I don't have anything to offer. Yeah. But well, thank you. I have to step back.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
And
Ugh,
realize we've
you
been through a
totally
heck
do
of a lot.
though.
We've watched
It's your own
friends, we've
experience,
watched,
you
relationships
know?
crumble. We've learned from those. We've struggled with our own stuff. We've watched families get divorced, like go through affairs, all of these things. And from that, I just glean and I dig into God's word and I journal and I research like, okay, what does the brain do? What leads to adultery? What leads to unhealthy conversation? What leads to unhealthy sex and intimacy? And then breaking those things down. And so, but to get back to the imposter, I think that
Mhm.
that fear is in everyone. And you have to come to a place where you say, I can either choose to put in the
Absolutely.
effort and put in the risk and potentially fail, or never put in the any risk at all and absolutely have no chance of succeeding. Like if you take the risk, you at least have 50% chance of success. And when we look over the fence at other people's grass and the success they have, and maybe I look at someone who's 3 times bigger than me on social media and their income
Yeah.
is 3 times 10 times bigger than mine, that doesn't, for me, I've learned to not let it make me feel like, okay, I can't get to where she is. It gets me to a place where I'm inspired and I'm like, I'm not going to get to where she is. Maybe not. Maybe I won't. But I can get to my own version of that, which will be more than enough for me. And it just shows me that
Mhm.
it's absolutely possible. So now rather than hindering me, it inspires me because a lot of, and I always say this on the Living Easy podcast and
Yes.
my social media marketing academy and course creation academy, that she didn't do it better. She just did it. Like so much of it is not even that they're better at it than you. They just took the leap. Yeah.
Yes. You just have to do it. Well, and the thing is too with you mentioned, like, you either have the chance of succeeding if by doing it or you don't, but also you realize, like, even me just starting out, you realize you're helping people. They're finding value in your stuff even when you don't even know that
Mm-hmm.
they're seeking it or that they have found it. You're literally helping other people. So it's almost like kind of like what you said, you know, you have a gift and you're here to share it. And I feel like everybody's here to share it. And guess what? The people who don't see value in it, you're not really going to help those
Mm-hmm.
people. But the people who do,
Yeah.
you're 110 times, you're helping them out. You don't necessarily need to be the expert on everything, but just sharing the knowledge, I think, is what makes other people feel, at least relatable or that they can take some of that wisdom and use it for themselves. And it's not about being right or wrong. It's about sharing like what's worked for you or what you're
Yes.
seeing or what you're acknowledging. And that may be something that will help them. And I think that
Yes.
that's something that has
Mm-hmm.
helped me is just
Yeah.
knowing like, hey, if I'm
And
helping one
that's
person,
sufficient. Yeah. Well,
great.
and I think
Great.
that people think about us a whole lot
I'm
less than
definitely
we
not
think they
hurting
actually
anyone.
think about us
Yeah.
because a lot of
Mhm.
the yes. Yeah, the students that come to
Oh,
me
yeah.
often
Egos.
say things like,
We gotta set our egos aside.
I feel like my friends and my family are going to make fun of me, or I feel like my friends and family are going to judge me because they know I'm not an expert, quote unquote, in this subject. And I'm like, if they do, that's their own heart issue. Let them deal with that internally. For you, all that you really need to worry about is the fact that you're doing what you feel called to do. You're responding and you're trying something. Like, how brave is it to put yourself out there, to take a risk on what you love? And my brother-in-law actually sent
Mhm.
something to me the other day because I was having imposter syndrome like crazy in launching my new business courses. And yes, I mean, absolutely. My fear was
It's always
huge
when
and
you're launching
just like not
something.
knowing what was going to happen with the launch. And he just said, Linz, you really need to realize like you're doing what a lot of people have always prayed that they could do with like having your husband home. And this is not to boast in myself because this has been, like I said, years and years of efforts and I've been hustling, yeah. So, but he's like, you've got to
You've been
separate
working
out
hard.
what people
Yes.
will think of your launch or what people will think of what you're like, even doing reels. I told Jesse, I'm like, gosh, I feel like I'm losing my dignity sometimes, like creating these stinking cheesy reels. Yes. But it's
Absolutely.
what
Or
you're
like, "Oh
doing
my
it
gosh, am I
for. Like
tacky?"
I
Like,
always
I'm
joke,
tacky.
and I'm not
Like,
all
I
about money focus. I just think that there's women who are breadwinners and women who want to be breadwinners or women who need to provide for their family. And that's a beautiful thing. But I'm like, you know what? People can laugh at you and then you can laugh all the way to the bank, because as you create and make money and bring in income and do these silly reels,
Yeah.
every time I create a reel, I make sales, And so it's like, yes, it's 7 seconds of ridiculousness that maybe my high school friends are like, oh man, but I'm like, no, but we have a really sweet life because of these silly things. So I think it's just getting out of your head.
Well, and the people at the top are never the people who are your
Yes.
people, first of all.
Yeah.
And the people who are at the top are
Yeah,
never
that's true.
bashing anybody who's just starting or who's doing it. Nobody's looking
That's
down
true.
that ladder saying like, whoa, like you look crazy coming up here. No, they're encouraging and they're pulling you up. It's all the people that are at the
Or people
bottom
who
that are
haven't
too
started,
scared
maybe.
to and I hate to say at the bottom, right? I don't mean it like that, but it's the people who don't know and who haven't started or who just don't
Yes.
think the same way, that are scared for you and they're trying to look
Yes.
out for you and they're trying to, stop you or question you or doubt you without even sometimes knowing it. But they're not where you want to be. So it's like, why are we
That's
so
so good,
worried
Toree. I've
about
never thought of it that way.
what
That's a
people who
really,
aren't
really
even
good point.
doing what we
Because
want to
that's, I mean,
do,
for me and
what they're
the
thinking of.
coaching and all of that, like I want to be
Yeah.
people's biggest cheerleader, and I genuinely am, because you see what it can do for you. But I will say, before I had started and I saw people
Mhm.
bigger than me, it was resentment or jealousy
Yes.
because I hadn't
Mhm.
gotten there, or I hadn't even tried to get there. And yeah, and I had to process through that junk on my own and realize like this isn't about
Or you're
them
hard on
and doing
yourself.
well
Yeah.
or even being silly or being an influencer. Like this is about me and having a desire. And when I could separate those two,
Mhm.
and another thing, and I'll finish with this, but that I think one of the biggest things that I would encourage people and will encourage people in is to not wait until you're ready to start, because you're never going to be ready and you will wait the rest of your life. I even tell people in the Course Creation Academy, which that's how I make the majority of my money now. That's how I brought Jesse home, was through online courses. And so I'm teaching people how. And in that, I'm sharing, you want to announce your course before you've even started creating it, because it allows you to move forward. It gives you accountability. Like people are depending on you. They're waiting on that thing. And it forces you to finish what you start, because you're going to go through any type of online business or brick and mortar or ministry, whatever it is. And you're going to get to a point where you're like, I don't deserve this. I can't be here. This isn't for me. And then you're going to want to quit. I've done it every single time with every single thing I've done.
Yep.
Yeah. Or it's too hard.
Oh,
Like
yep.
this is too
You're like,
straining,
is this really what I
and nothing
want? Is this
good
really
is not at least a little bit difficult, right? Good things come from difficult attempts. And so I just want to encourage people, like if you are like, I really
Yes.
want an online business, or I really don't want to worry
Yes.
about the economic climate so much. I don't want to be in a 9 to 5 anymore. I don't want to be working for someone else's wages and just be kind of like have this boss life. If that's not what you want, it's knowing we are in an industry now where there is so much insane opportunity online, from voiceovers or like there's
Oh my gosh, it's so insane. Anything you can think of, like, you
sure.
can't blame the next generation for not wanting to go work. Like, you still have to hustle, don't get me wrong. It's a totally different hustle, totally different pros and cons, but it's like you can't blame people because we are in this era where there's you could literally do
Yeah.
anything and you have access to the entire world that has the internet, obviously. But you have that capability, which we've
Mhm.
never been able to have
Gotta have some
necessarily
thick
before.
skin.
And it's kind of this wild west
Yeah.
too, where it's not as it's not regulated. It's not regulated. I feel like later there'll be regulations and like things like that. For some reason, my crazy brain is like, oh,
Well,
it's the
business
wild west
coaches
now. If I
are
don't go
saying
now, like
now,
game over, you know?
yeah, and business
Um,
coaches are saying now,
but
the
yeah, I
next
mean, I
18
think a
months
lot
are
of people have
crucial.
opportunity.
And it's something that like I don't like to put that pressure on myself, because I don't want to be a FOMO type of person,
Absolutely.
fear of missing out, but I also do want to take advantage of the fact that literally right now there has never in history been a time when you could get your business, your brand, your platform in front of millions and millions of eyes within hours of time. And yes, granted, that's a viral video on TikTok, and I'm all about TikTok in the social media management. I teach all about why I think TikTok is absolutely essential for any single type of business or brand or corporation or small business or podcast, that it's just crucial. And
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
you just go, and it really gives you the opportunity to
It's like,
say,
just go.
I can create
Yeah.
15 videos that are seen by 5 people, and some that are seen by 30, and some that are seen by 5 million. And even the 30 people, I always encourage everyone, like, imagine owning a shop or owning a business or having a conference, and 30 people show up at your door at the same time. Like, you'd be overwhelmed with the amount of those people. It's faces, right? These are real people seeing your stuff. So don't diminish if you only have a few likes and views. Those are real people who could make real purchases and invest in your life for years and years to come. I just think we have this small scale thinking that really prevents us from growth.
Thanks again, guys, for joining me on this second season of the Homefront Podcast, where happiness is our true profit. If you've enjoyed today's chat, please take a minute to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. That'll help a sister out a lot. This helps us also learn and grow and reach more listeners like you. Join me again next week as we drop new stories, experiences, and game-changing tips for your business and home front. As always, here empowering you in business and in life. Until next time.